And we are back.
To try and link up with Android 21. But like I was talking about before, when it comes to like character designs, a lot of character designers, there's certain things that have to change when they're adapting from manga to anime. And Toriyama's one of the few manga artists that they don't really have to change very much. And it is part of the job of the team that has a character designer on staff to try and get as close to the manga and staying as true to it as possible. But a lot of times, because it's a comic medium, they're gonna, illustrated medium, they're gonna render things a bit more. Hair might have more detail than it needs to, etc. But unlike, I think like Sailor Moon was kind of like that as well. They had to like tone down a lot of the design work. Yu Yu Hakusho was another one where like, okay, he loves to like do really cool shading for like Yusuke's hair and Kuwabara's hair. You can't do that in an anime. Like, we need a solid shape for that hair to fill in with a solid paint.
Yeah, it makes sense to be able to see the difference between the manga and the anime. In manga, you're allowed to do a lot more detailed work because you don't have to animate a million fucking frames.
That's why I get disheartened when I kind of see her design. It's like, it's such an unnecessary change, like keeping everything else about it, but then someone's like, need to make her boobs bigger. It's like, she was already good looking and cute before. Like, why'd you need to do such a in-your-face, like, silly change to her character? It just becomes distracting. And I love boobs. Boobs are great. Everyone loves them, but come on. It bothers me when character designs like that, they make decisions of that nature that are unnecessary or crap. So,
I see what you're getting at with
straight away point, I guess.
Wait.
No matter what, I have to fight someone.
Well, yeah, but you have to fight 3 people this way. Anyway, whatever.
Oh, well,
I see why you're saying that, because you thought the same. It's not the same, but similar to Game of Thrones with the sex scenes and stuff.
Yeah, it just feels unnecessary. A lot of. It's like the rule of storytelling. I forget who it is.
Weird, my backlighting went out.
There's a rule about. It's like. Koslov's gun, something like that.
Chekhov's gun?
Chekhov's gun, yeah. Well, like, if it's not necessary to the story, why is it there? And that's kind of like the same theory behind character design. Everything should serve the character, and if it's not serving the character, it's not necessary.
I see that, but in a Game of Thrones way.
Game of Thrones is a bit different, though.
It's a bit different. They have limited time to tell their stories. It's an hour, but they have limited episodes per season. And they have to have the seasons done by a certain point. You know, just get to take 2 years off. Well, I mean, this season they do. But before it was like, no, new one's gonna come out next year, guys. Come on, like, let's fucking keep going. So they had to minimize how much they could put on screen. Right. A lot of the sex stuff lets you in on, like, how are they as a character? How do they treat someone as a lover? How do they treat someone as, like, a prostitute? Do they hire prostitutes? If they do, obviously they're cool with shady shit, or
there are some instances where that stuff plays into part. I just thought it was interesting that both Boardwalk Empire and Game of Thrones, which are 2 series by HBO, the very first scene they show in those things is people having sex. Like, right off the bat, I'm like...
Well, I think that's a thing that kind of be like, hey, we're not gonna fuck around. We're going to do some shocking shit right off the bat.
Yeah, and
they definitely did in Game of Thrones. With all the deaths and shit, they're like, people got their fucking hearts broken. They were like, God damn, my favorite character fucking died or was, banished or whatever. I think they were kind of like, hey, we're not pulling the punches. We're HBO. God damn it. Like, here's sex, but then we're going to show a bunch of other stuff, too. Let you see all this other crazy shit happen, and then break the levity a little bit with maybe some more sex that maybe doesn't have exact story input, but it does give you an idea of how these characters act.
I mean, sex for me always on camera in movies just feels awkward and doesn't seem genuine. It feels
well, if it's sex for sex, sure. But a lot of times in like Game of Thrones and stuff, people will show up to like a whorehouse. And fuck. But then they'll have dialogue, and it's like, oh shit, this person's kind of cool with the seedy underbelly.
Right.
And one of them, they were having sex, and then the dude he was supposed to be a religious guy. Dude got caught in there by the religious cultist order, and they were like, oh, you fucking up, dude. Like, you're doing gay shit with this guy.
Character development that's good, but for instance, of a counterpoint where it's like, this isn't working. I've been watching Jessica Jones season 2, and
watched it.
Part of her character is she's a bit of a sex addict because she's just trying to feel something because she's always dealing with all the trauma she's dealt with, and she's using sex as a way of getting over it or like masking the pain, which is fine. That is something people do. They're like, that's a thing. Yeah. But a lot of the sex scenes that have happened in that show, like there's a lot of sex scenes in that show compared to other shows.
Is it on HBO?
No, it's on Netflix.
Okay, so they can do whatever they want, right?
So they can do almost what they want. Like, you'll see a butt and you'll see a boob, but you won't actually see them fucking. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, the same with Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
you get to see a penis or like.
And for context, like I go to
vagina.
Yeah, I went to work like in art school. You will like talk to naked people all the time. Like they're up there modeling for you. Yeah. It's not something that like, oh, I'm just a prude. It's like it doesn't serve the story. I get upset because I feel like, why are you wasting screen time with this? Yeah. Or
well, it's like a
it's fan service again.
It's fan service, but it's also like the same for horror. If you do like a jump scare, it's cheap. It's like you guys couldn't have used skill or anything to kind of get this point across to you. You just had to be like, hey, here's boobs, pay attention. And like
one of my favorite examples is a Humphrey Bogart movie with, I think it's Laura Hepburn.
His name's Humphrey.
Humphrey Bogart. It was an old noir movie, and it kind of like starts with her coming over to his apartment. And back then, they weren't able to show a lot of stuff. They literally show her coming in, and then they cut back to the next day. Like, we know what happened. We know they fucked. But do we really need to waste valuable screen time?
Well, I think they had to be a little bit more clever about it.
They had to be more clever about it, whereas now it just feels like, oh, we can get away with it now because we're HBO, so we'll just show it to fill up time. And like you said, there are good instances. Like, for instance, like the scene where she's walking through town and she's naked, like, like that adds to her character.
Gets you to show revenge and shame and how she's being acted. She's royalty and people are literally throwing shit.
Or like in Westworld, when there's some nudity there, like that makes sense because they're trying to dehumanize a lot of those characters.
Yeah, and they're also showing that people use it as a fucking sex farm type shit.
Yeah, and that's what human beings would do. So like in that essence, I'm like, okay, cool, this adds story. I just got turned off right away from Game of Thrones. I'm like, you're already showing me sex. Like, this just doesn't feel like an interesting way to bring me into your world. And another part was, I was watching it at work. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, well, I can't watch this at work. I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch this later then. I don't really even like this type of universe anyways. So I'm not really going to bother to get into it. And then I tried Boardwalk Empire. I was like, oh, maybe this one won't start off with sex. Oh, immediately, John Buscemi's fucking someone's like, I don't want to see John Buscemi having naked ever in my life.
Steve Buscemi?
Steve Buscemi?
Buscemi?
Who is that?
Are we talking about the same person?
Yeah, guy from Mr. Pink and...
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
What did I say?
I don't know. Maybe his real name is John. I don't think his real name is...
No, I was mispronouncing.
You were saying John. But I mean...
saying John.
Fuck it. We were talking about sex. Johns are all over sex.
Yeah, Johns are all over sex. 30.
The point that you were making for the Game of Thrones thing, if you watched further, and I don't blame you that you didn't.
Yeah.
Is if I'm thinking about the same sex thing that you were talking about.
It was the very first episode.
It's between brother and sister. So it's showing you, hey, this is incest.
Right.
This kind of shit is not to be like applauded and enjoyed.
And I'm sure if we're
showing you that these are like some villainous people. These are some people that don't share the same morals as us. They are doing wrong stuff. Don't like them, guys. That's what they use it as that. Now, definitely, they do use some sex in there just for the kicks of showing sex.
Yes.
I've
just always preferred things that are more clever with that stuff. It's like it's like the sex scenes in The Matrix. Like, third movie, you're like,
oh god, where they have like the fucking orgy party thing?
Yeah, it's like, why is this in here? Like, this isn't hot.
A lot of people made fun of it because of that. I think it's vastly different for Game of Thrones, but I agree on your point.
Yeah.
Your point is, I take it.
It's kind of like how we've been talking about the story with this thing. Like, if it's fluff, cut it out.
Yeah.
If it's not necessary to the plot, cut it out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not perfect.
Like, why did we have this fight?
Yeah.
If it was so fucking easy, just make the path one fight shorter.
Yes.
Guys, why did we fight? Nothing came of that. I can see they're like, oh, well, we need to tax their HP, so by the time they reach the boss, they feel like they're like, tired.
A little bit, but make the enemies tougher then.
Make the enemies tougher. Cut out some of the... You would cut out probably 70% of these fights.
But yeah, it never comes down to sex. It comes down to story points. And Jessica Jones has felt really bad about that this second season. It took till like episode 7 for me to be like, oh, hey, the plot's happening. Cool. I actually now care about these characters. Like, Daredevil season 1, great. Daredevil season 2, good. Punisher, good. Jessica Jones season 1, phenomenal. But like Iron Fist and Jessica Jones season 2, there's such a slow burn, and even by the time they ramp up, it's like, at least especially with the Iron Fist, it's really hard to care for that character.
Okay. I haven't seen any of them, so I'm not gonna
I
be able
think
to
you like
really...
Daredevil. I think Daredevil's really good. It's like a 13-episode series, but I know you don't like superheroes as much as I do.
I mean,
You don't hate them.
I don't hate them. I just find their stories kind of uninteresting, unless it's like movie grade level.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh shit, like this is going to be some great visuals, top-notch storytelling, hopefully.
Yeah.
And it's in a universe where things impact each other.
Well, that is
If
nice.
you watch the TV one, it's like nothing's really like meeting those criteria, as far as I know. Maybe
Yeah.
it does.
Like, so they're their own kind of separate, like, they're part of the MCU and they reflect things that happen with it. I
Yeah.
will say that Daredevil and Punisher are very good series because they're very good character things.
Uh-huh.
But you also have to like the superhero genre to an extent. But
I
that's
do.
not-
I see almost every Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's not-
I'm not like a super fanboy, but god damn it, I think the only ones I haven't seen are like Ant-Man, and then anything DC.
Yeah. So, like, that's the thing. Like, DC, they screw the pooch a lot with that shit.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, like, where you really have to be a super fan to be like, all right, I'll go see this if it is. Maybe it's not garbage. Maybe it's okay. One of those blind fans.
I can see it as like, I know this is gonna be a filler,
Like-
but I'm gonna go and try and watch it because I want to support my people.
Yeah.
And I also want to kind of not be filled in on what happened.
There's some series that are weaker than others, like Jessica Jones, really good character, like especially with like Kristen Ritter. I think Daredevil's really good. I think Daredevil season 2 and Punisher are really great. Iron Fist is weak. I enjoyed it because I'm a comic book fan, but I'm not gonna be like, this is amazing. I'm gonna be like, this is like a C minus.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad enough for me to stop watching because it's 13 episodes.
Here's
And
points for trying, guys.
Here's points for trying, and I enjoyed it. It's not a dumpster fire, but it's not amazing either. It's just like, it's average.
Well, that's my part of my point. If I'll watch the movies, because usually they're going to be good, at least good.
Yes, at least good, if not great.
Now TV, and again, we have limited time in our day,
Yeah.
every single day.
So you
I'm
have
not
to
going to
choose.
spend my time watching something average, preferably, unless I have some kind of like driving force behind it.
Right, unless you're invested into the series
Yeah.
at that point.
So I'm not going to be turning on fucking Iron Fist. You know,
Yeah, of course.
I don't know his story. I don't know who he is. I've already heard people.
Well, I
fan
find
it.
it-
I'm like, I'm done.
I find it interesting that this year, like, I was really into watching Flash, Arrow, and all that stuff. I haven't watched any of that this year. They got so into their own tropes and so lazy with the writing. It's like, man, guys, having the fan service of new characters from the comics only lasts so far. And you keep putting all this CW soap drama in. Like, I get it, it's a CW show. It's gonna have
It's going to have the CW fucking.
It's gonna
flavor
have
to
a lot of that flavor to it, and that's fine. Like, superheroes are kind of a little bit of a soap opera sometimes anyways. That doesn't bother me too much. But I got completely turned, like, I don't even really want to watch this anymore. Like, I really liked The Flash, and I really liked Arrow for a while, but Arrow just kept going downhill. And it comes down to that limited time thing. I'm not even a huge proponent of live action series. It takes a lot for me to watch something live action other than Marvel movies. And the only reason I got into the Marvel movies is because they're based on the comics. They're based on illustration work and those things that I grew up with.
Oh, that's your investment.
It's my investment.
You know about these things, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Well, so long as it's not bad, I'm willing to put down 2 hours to watch this. Whereas like a TV show, it's like, yeah, some of this stuff is about the things I like,
Yeah.
but I'm not willing to put in 13 hours for this season if I don't know it's gonna be good,
Yeah.
or at least adequate.
And at a certain point, you have to cut off a series too. Like, it was like with Heroes back in the day. Heroes season 1, fantastic, really great TV series. Great drama, great action, perfect. Season 2, still kind of interesting, not bad. Like, I like the whole ancient Japan thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Season 3, train wreck, dumpster fire. Let's give it one more chance. Season 4, why am I still watching this show? Season 5, we finally killed the baby. It's dead. We threw it in a dumpster, we burned it, and we set it on fire.
I didn't watch the series, so I have no idea what it's like, but I absolutely know that feeling. Watching some series.
Well, we've
as
talked
we were
about
saying
this.
with like some animes and stuff, it's like, if you don't win me over in like 4 or 5 episodes, like to
I'm
show
done.
me that you're doing something different or at least interesting, yeah, I don't need 2 episodes of filler at the beginning of a fucking series where I don't even know these characters, I don't have investment.
Yeah.
You guys need to hook me. And if you can't do it in 4 episodes, you fucked up.
Yeah, if I don't like at least one of your characters to keep going within 4 episodes, there's something wrong. Like, a series has to start off on a good note, and the best ones usually do. Now,
At least in an interesting note.
In an interesting note. They may falter, like, as the series goes on, it's whatever it is, but, like, the best series usually have something that pulls you in right away.
Yeah, you need a hook, or a plot point, or a point of interest.
Something.
Or fucking something.
They have to be funny, they have to be likable. There has to be something interesting about what you're trying to tell me to get me into it.
Yeah, if you have an original idea and original characters and not something that already has a fan base, you need to hook right away, guys. We have way more media than we have time in the day. And if you aren't fucking putting out your best shit right at the beginning to hook people are just gonna change the channel. That's all they're gonna do.
Another series that I know we both fell off of was Steven Universe.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I thought the idea was very unique.
I thought
I was
Steven
like,
Universe
whoa,
started
where are
off
they going?
super strong, but it fell into the Adventure Time formula.
Oh yeah, where they don't spend time explaining shit. They go off one-off adventures, and then nothing ever progresses. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, Steven Universe does have progression because now there's new gems and there's this. Okay, but what weight does that add to it?
Yeah. Not really.
I mean, I don't know the seasons by season number, but holy shit, it took forever to get kind of any like diamond answers, like the diamond, yellow diamond, and pink diamond and stuff.
Yeah,
whatever the
like
4
almost
diamonds
all that
are.
stuff didn't start. At least it felt like almost like a year or 2 years after the series started. It felt like there was filler after filler after filler, and it was like, cool, we're gonna know Steven. We only need about 10 episodes before that kicks off, and then finally start doing story stuff. It felt like Rebecca Sugar didn't know exactly where she wanted to go.
And I think that's the case, and I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either.
But she needed to figure it out once she knew the show was greenlit.
Yeah, and you just kind of have to go with that. Like, you have a lot of good writers on your staff. Well, actually, I don't even know if they do it writer-based. I think that's the problem.
I don't know.
Just like Adventure Time and regular show and other shows of that nature, they have storyboarders. They have storyboard teams who design a story and they make an episode. And a lot of animation guys are gag-based and they're comedy-based because that's what we grew up on, like Looney Tunes,
it's a cartoon. Yeah.
all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the reason why regular show works versus Steven Universe has problems, Steven Universe sets it up as a sequential storytelling.
Yeah.
Whereas regular show is, these are their daily lives.
Yeah.
And this is what they're gonna do.
There may be callbacks, but it's not going to be serialized storytelling.
No, it's not.
In a sense, like you will see like growth over time.
Yeah.
But you can miss 4 or 5 episodes, come back, and just pop right back in.
Right. And that's how life works. So regular show works in that manner because, like, hey, this is just Rigby and them doing their job at the park and crazy shit happens. And occasionally you get like, oh, hey, Rigby eventually gets a girlfriend. And then whoa, I'm getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, he's a lot higher than you. But I see what you're saying, and I like serialized stuff as best I can if it's with something that hooks me and is interesting.
And I love things like Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo, and I love the non-sequential stuff. It's frustrating when you like a show's story and you think like, oh, this is really interesting,
and then they move it to that.
When are we gonna learn more about that? Like in Adventure Time, when are we gonna learn more about Finn and his mom? And all of a sudden, oh, you're gonna learn about that 3 years from now. It's like, I want to know about this now.
And then when you learn about it, it's 4 episodes, and then they totally blast it out of the park. It's done. Yeah. And then it goes back to the non-serial stuff, and it's like,
what was it?
Okay, so we learned a little, but what really have we gained? Nothing.
Spoiler, like the end of How I Met Your Mother, you're like, oh cool, we built up to the end of the series, finally meet the mother.
Everyone uses that one when talking about it.
She's dead the next episode. You're like, why'd you waste all these? And then you're like, oh yeah, and it's actually about him getting together with Robin at the very beginning. You're like, no, why?
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about it and blasting that. Because the ending absolutely shit the bed.
It really did. And they're like, we shot it years before. It's like, well, you should have realized that was a dumbass ending. Or you should have ended that show 3 seasons ago. Like, it had some good resolutions for characters. Like, Barry's character had a good arc, and it made sense. But Ted was already a whiny little... He's like Ross from Friends. No one actually likes him, but he's kind of crucial to the cast because it pushes the plot forward.
I would say someone's in the audience right now being like, he's my boy, but no, it's only Tarkum. And I don't know if Tarkum actually watches that show.
I don't know. But Tarkum, we appreciate you so much.
What I don't appreciate is when they don't know when to end a fucking show.
Yeah, this is the one thing that happens so many times. I love the regular show ended. A lot of my students got bummed out about that show ending. But I was like, no, guys, some shows need to end. Like SpongeBob should have ended a long time ago.
Yeah, a lot of them don't need to be like The Simpsons. You know, they don't need to have or like like South Park. Mm-hmm. Maybe do something different. You guys can only do so much within a medium before it starts feeling stale. Even if you're being unique and like writing absolutely good stuff, it's like maybe try something different. Futurama. It's a lot like that. It's like I'm kind of glad it's ended. They ended it in a good way. It may not have been the most satisfying way, but I like that they finally are like, yeah, we're not going to string you along anymore.
No, we're done.
We're done,
it felt
guys.
The way they ended Futurama was like, okay, it was over, and you're like, oh man, I kind of wanted a little bit more. Then you got the movies, are like, okay, they still kind of got it. They made a couple more seasons. Some of the episodes were a little but for the most part, it's like, nah, it's still interesting concepts. They're still doing character development, and they did spend a lot of those later seasons really like making the characters grow in a sense that they hadn't done before, because they were back in the old like Simpson storytelling thing where it's like, oh, it's just gag episodes.
You just did that perfectly, the way that it went through. He went to say protect 21's heart. He's like, protect! And you click through it, and he's like, ah, I just got eaten up by the energy. It's like, what do we protect? Ah, fuck, he didn't say it!
Jesus.
We can't end in cutscenes, can we?
We can, but we should probably just get through this. You want me to just skip through it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know.
Not 16!
I already know what happens. Yeah.
No!
She powers up, shit gets crazy, and then wham!
Oh,
This.
Transformation! Is this where she get the evil eyes?
Nope. I mean, evil eyes do show up.
Is this
but,
where that modded version comes in?
I hope so. Nope.
I don't know what happened. Oh, dun 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 dun.
Bye. And hello.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
She split into a good and bad version.
Of
They
course.
kind of led you to believe that would happen, because when it said you unlocked Android 21, it said good in parentheses.
And then 21
Or
bad.
Was that parentheses? I can't remember.
I mean, we can probably hit save now. We can probably end at this point.
Yeah,
Let's end it on a cliffhanger, guys.
She separated herself, kind of like Doctor Jekyl and Mr. Hyde. Good and bad
Ah.
version. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Beep up poop.
It really is a bummer because the overall plot line for this game isn't terrible. It's just so all over the place and so weirdly paced.
It's non-linear and very fluffed.
Yes, exactly. If they had cut the fat and then rearranged some stuff, it's like, that's actually not a bad story.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's
passable.
It's passable.